يا هلا 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 حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا 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 هلا.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Welcome to another Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli, on this beautiful Saturday morning in my part of the world. Great to be with you, and we have some interesting guests lined up for you this morning. We start off with Steve Tsakiris. He's from Read to Rise. They're a non-profit organization committed to promoting youth literacy in schools in under-resourced areas. That will be our first interview for the morning. We also will be talking to Meryl Bailey, and she's going to talk to us about the merits of teaching your children a second, third, or even multiple languages. And we'll be wrapping up by speaking to an amazing young lady. She's here to inspire us all with her wonderful CD, and it's called Passage of Time, the Passage of Time album. That will be our final interview for this morning, and I do hope you're going to be staying with me throughout the show. We started out on Wednesday with our first show. This is our second show, and I do hope there's going to be lots more to come, and throughout it all, you're going to be keeping us company, of course. We have giveaways. We have 2 sets of lovely books, compliments of Steven Tsakiris from Read to Rise. And we're also going to be giving away the 3 CDs later on in the program from little Samiha Issa. So stay with us, and we do hope you're going to be calling in. You have to call in if you want to win one of those prizes. Our studio number will appear at the bottom of the screen throughout the program, and we'd love to hear from you. So for thoughts, comments, questions, please call us. But right now we cross over to Steve, and we're going to talk about Read to Rise. Steve, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Julie. Thank you for having me on the show. It's such a great pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you for making the time to be here bright and early on a Saturday
beautiful
morning. Okay, Read to Rise. You're a non-profit organization. You're concerned about children in under-resourced areas. There's a huge problem because I think it is said that children in their foundational phase of growing and learning should be reading up to 40 books per year. But it's found that children in these areas are reading perhaps 1 or 2, if that at all.
Yes, indeed. It's a major problem, Julie. Our research shows that children should be reading 40 to 50 books per year. In many instances, they're not reading any. And it's because of 2 things. 1, there is a lack of books. There isn't an availability of books in these areas. And 2, there isn't really a culture of reading in these areas. And so literacy is an enormously important aspect of life. It's important for children to be literate because that's the way they can educate themselves. That's the way forward in our society. And illiteracy is a major problem in our country. And this is what we set out to address as Read to Rise.
Now, you're very, very passionate about children reading, you know, really growing themselves and making certain that they map out a future for themselves going forward. Because, as you say, children are our future leaders. But how and where did this all start for you?
Okay, so Read to Rise has been going since 2013. It was started by 2 amazing people, Athol Williams and his wife, Taryn Locke. They had just come back from overseas, and Athol is from Mitchell's Plain in the Western Cape. And Athol had written the book Oki and the Sun, which we'll see in a moment.
Let's show it to let's show it to our viewers. So this is the one book that Steve is talking about, and this is the second book. Both written by his partners, the people he's just referred to now. And these are the books we're going to be giving away on the show this morning. So if you'd like to get a set of these books, it's a set of 2. We're going to give away 2 of these. You can call in with a question or a comment, and we'll see if you can put yourself in line to win one of these lovely books. Steve?
So Athol wrote the first one, which was Oki and the Sun, and they went into a classroom in Mitchell's Plain, and they printed some copies of the book, and they just read it to the children. And the story itself is a very powerful story. It's very simply written, it's very easy to read, but it's a very symbolic, powerful story about finding your direction in life. And it's written, it's about a little acorn that grows into a big, strong tree, and it grows from an acorn into a sapling, into a small tree, into a big tree. And essentially what it's talking about the personal development of the child, how to find direction in life. So there's a character, the sun, which guides Oki in the right direction. The wind tries to pull Oki in the wrong direction. And Oki asks questions, which way do I go in life? And so they went in and they read this, and they had such a phenomenal response from the kids that they thought, let's formalize it. So the NGO Read to Rise was formed. And so, as I say, since 2013, they've been active in the Western Cape. And then I went on sabbatical in 2014. And at the beginning of 2015, Athol, who was at university with me, he's a university friend of mine, he approached me and he said, we'd like to expand into Gauteng. Would you be interested in doing it? And so that's how I got involved in Read to Rise. And we work predominantly in the Soweto area. But we've also done certain other areas as well, depending on how sponsorships come in and where our sponsors want us to work. But our main focus is in Soweto.
But for you, it was a total change of direction as far as your life and your career is concerned.
It was. I was in the field of personal development. That's my passion. So I was teaching adults. I'm a public speaker, and I was doing conferences and workshops and teaching people how to develop themselves. My passion is about how do we develop, who are we really as human beings? We're so much more than we've been told. And so that's always been my passion. We need to develop ourselves emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And then coming out of my sabbatical, I made a very profound insight, I would say, which is kind of obvious, but it was an insight that came to me. The children are the future. If we really want to make a change to our society, and all of us in this organization are passionate about that, what we need to do is we need to get to the children because they are the future. And so I changed my focus really from adults to children.
Okay, so up to now, you were formed in 2013. You're up and running. I should hope and pray that you're growing from strength to strength. How do you actually go into the different areas? How do you identify the areas and the people or the children that should be receiving these books? And then, above all of that, how do you monitor that it is making a difference? And it's fine to go in and start out with these books, but that's not quite enough, is it? More has to be done to truly support these children. You go in, you give them 1 or 2 books and leave it at that. Their situation is not going to change. So what is it that you do which is different, that you can almost ensure that that child is now going to be hooked to reading, and that love of reading is going to grow and grow and grow him or her as a person?
That's an excellent question, because I think that's what differentiates us, is that it's in our name, Read to Rise. So the first part of it is reading, because reading is a fundamental aspect of education. A child and an adult needs to know how to read in order to educate themselves. So that's important. That's a fundamental. But the rise aspect is also important. So it's all about inspiring children. It's, as you say, we can go in and just leave books there, and then they've got access to books. But if there's no culture of reading, if there's no interest in reading, then it falls flat right there. So what we do is we don't just drop off the books. We identify the schools that we want to work with. We go in and have meetings with the principals, with the head of department, with the teachers. And then once we've identified the schools, we go in and do a program. So we don't just drop books off at the school. We do an entire program. So we've got these amazing little colorful posters. And we go in with the grade 3s and grade 4s in Soweto, with the grade 2s and grade 3s in Mitchell's Plain. And we do a little lesson surrounding the tree. So we introduce the words to the children: leaves, branches, trunk, acorn, what are all these things. We also have an interactive session with them. So we call the children up to the board so that they can stick the titles of the various parts of the tree on there. And we interact with the children. So that's the first part of it. It's a little lesson. It takes about 30 minutes. Now, once we've finished with a lesson, we'll then read one of those books, Oki and the Sun, or Oki the Happy Tree, to the children. And at this stage, we haven't even told them that they're getting a book yet. We'll just read the book to them, read the story to them. Then what we say is, we've got a surprise for you. And we get them to close their eyes, and we get our volunteers or whoever's with us, our sponsors, to come in, and we give one of these books eye to eye, hand to hand to these children. So we make contact. This is the important thing about this program, is we want to give the message to the children that you are important, you're special. So it's not only about giving them a book. And as you know, we give them brand new books. We don't give them second-hand books. It's a very colorful book. It's well printed on beautiful paper, because the message that we want to give to these children is you're important. And to most of these children, and I would say almost 99, 100% of them, this is the first book that they've ever owned. So when they get it, they often don't know what to do with it, you know. The first page, when you open the first page of the book, it says, this book belongs to. We get the children to write their name in the book so that they can take ownership of it. You know, we believe if you take ownership of something, then you respect it more. You'll use it in a more inspired way. So they write their names in the book. And a lot of the kids will ask us, but are you sure we can write in the book? And we say, but it's your book. You know, it's for you. Take it home and use it. And then once that's done is then we'll read the book with the children, because now we want to assess what is their level of reading. So we'll read the same book, we'll read the story again with the children, we get them to point to the words so we see how they're reading. And then once that's finished, we'll also do a lesson so that we can make the children understand that this book is not about a tree. It's about you as a child growing and developing. So we make sure that they have that connection. We finish off by also doing the second part of the process. And the second part of the process is we place one of these mini libraries in each class. So each class will get one of these mini libraries. And these libraries are stocked with 50 brand new books. They're brand new. Again, we don't give second-hand books. 50 brand new books, so that gives them now access to the resource that they need, the 50 books that they need to read. And this is managed by the class teacher. And the children will take one of these books and read them, and then the teacher will ask them certain questions about the book. And then you asked, how do we track? We give the schools, the teachers, a tracking chart. It's a big tracking chart where they write the children's name on one side, and then every time a child reads a book, they get a sticker to say they've read the book. So we then go in later. We want to develop a relationship with the school, so we go in again, and we find out which child has read the most books. We give them a little certificate, we give them prizes, just to get that culture of reading going, to inspire them to want to read. And then we finish off our session, and this is the fun bit, is we finish off our session with a little song that we've developed, which sticks in the child's mind. You know, music and sound is a very powerful thing. And we sing this little song with the class, and that's the end of our 40-minute session where we've given them their books and their libraries.
Now, what about the child the following year? The child has gone through all of this at school with the support of Read to Rise to enhance his or her learning. What about his subsequent years at school? Are you going to be holding his hand throughout that? Are you planning on doing something along those lines? Because I think that would support the child greatly.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're growing with that, and that's our vision. And that's where Oki the Happy Tree comes in. So that's the second book in the series. So Oki and the Sun is the first one, and it's about finding your direction in life. Oki the Happy Tree is another book written by Athol, and by the way, they've been illustrated by Taryn Locke, his wife, beautifully illustrated. And so Oki the Happy Tree is about being yourself. That's the next message, because we also believe that these books need to have a positive message for the children. So we will then go in, if we've done the grade 3s, for example, in Soweto, the next year we will go and do the grade 4s, which are the same children that have gone through to the next year, and we'll now give them Oki the Happy Tree. And so as time goes on, we plan on developing more books, a series of books, so that we can actually grow with these children.
Okay, wonderful. So it looks like there's going to be a series of these Oki books. We're keen to see what's going to develop from this. We need to take an ad break, but when we come back, we're going to continue our discussion with Steve Tsakiris from Read to Rise. And come on, moms and kiddies, you are watching out there, so call in. Who knows, you could stand in line to win a wonderful book from the Oki series, Oki the Happy Tree. And this one is Oki and the Sun. So call in, the number is scrolling at the bottom of our screen, but let's first take some ad breaks. Welcome back. This is Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli. It's great to be with you in your heart and in your home this morning. Do remember, we do have some giveaways this morning, so you can call in. Let's have your comments, questions, whatever it is that you'd like to share with us. Call in. The studio number is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. We're talking to Steve Tsakiris from Read to Rise. This will be followed by an interview with Meryl Bailey. She's from Linguamite, and we're going to talk about teaching your children multiple languages. Is there merit in doing something like that? Are we going to be confusing our little ones? Well, she's here to tell us all about that, and we'll be wrapping up with an amazing young girl. I think she's 9 or 10 years old, Samiha Issa. She has cut an album. It's called Passage of Time, and there are some amazing nasihas on this album. We're going to talk to her and to her mom, Anissa, and we're going to take a listen to some of those tracks from the album. So stay with us. We were here with you till 10 o'clock this morning. Back to you, Steve, and Read to Rise. All right, we have a caller, so sorry before we get to your next question. Assalamu alaikum to our caller. Welcome to the program. Hello, is our caller there? Assalamu alaikum to you.
Assalamu alaikum.
Welcome, welcome. Who am I talking to?
Salam, this is Salma speaking.
Can you speak up, please? I can't quite hear you.
Okay. Sorry, I must have put the TV off. It's loud. It's live.
Yes, it's live. Yeah. What would you like to share with us this morning? Oh, goodness me. All right. I think she's got cold feet, so she's hung up. Mm-hmm. Let's get back to you, Steve. Lots of fun on the show. Read to Rise. What I'm wondering about is children, English not necessarily being their first language. How does how do you overcome that hurdle? Because it must be difficult giving a child a book in English and then expecting them to read and understand and grow from that.
Yes, it is a challenge because, as you said, it's not their first language. So, and in a lot of the schools, English is only brought in at grade 3 or grade 4 level. Mm-hmm. So for a lot of these children, this is the very first contact that they've had with the English language. Incidentally, I must mention that Oki and the Sun has also been translated into Afrikaans for our Western Cape, some of the Western Cape schools, and it's also been translated into isiXhosa. So it is in other languages as well. But the majority of the teachers and the principals want us to go in with English books because they want to get their children used to reading English books. So it is a challenge. And so we had to choose very carefully as to which grades do we go in. So, for example, in Mitchell's Plain, we were going in at grade 2 level. We found that in Soweto it wasn't working. The children were not ready at grade 2. And so we moved to grade 3. But what we find is that there's a struggle initially. But the inspiring thing is we go back a year later and see these children, and they're reading so much better in English. And part of that is because they have got this fun book that they want to read. They take this book. You know, Oki and the Sun is all about reading for pleasure. It's reading for fun. So they take this book home, and often what we find is that there's a spillover effect to the parents, because now the parents all of a sudden see their child reading this fun book, and they also get an interest in reading. So we're finding that there is an impact not only for the children, but also in the communities themselves.
And no pressure on the children, obviously.
No pressure.
That you have to, complete the book in a certain span of time, etc. No pressure.
Not at all. It's for fun. We say to them, it's your book. Have fun with it. You know, I get the kids to smell the book and to look at the pictures and to tactilely feel the book. Okay. And it's theirs. They can do with it whatever they want.
Okay. Before we continue talking with Steve from Read to Rise, we do have a call online. Assalamu alaikum to you. Welcome to the show. Caller, are you there?
Yes, it's Nirvana.
Yes, do you have a comment for us?
Yes, I just want to say that I'm a great fan of this. I'm so proud.
Okay. I'm so sorry. I'm going to have to ask you to call back. The reception's very bad. I can barely hear you. But we'd love to hear from you, so do try calling in again. Assalamu alaikum to you. Okay, back to you, Steve. And these are the problems we have with technology. You spoke about the excitement of the children and then sharing the books with their parents and, thereby creating an environment, hopefully, of readers. I'm also wondering about children outside of the system. And I know this is huge. It's going to mean lots of resources outside of perhaps what you're doing, and you are an NGO. But what about the street children? What about children that are not in the formal education sector? Because you are in schools at the moment.
Yes.
Under-resourced schools, but you are at schools.
Yes.
Is there some sort of plan going forward to try and target those children? Because they really are in desperate need of this type of upliftment.
Yes, you're quite right. And of course, there is so much to be done. And so, what we want to do at Read to Rise is, first of all, we are a partner of the Department of Basic Education, and they also want us to expand. And so do we. Now, our expansion is, we're doing it slowly and carefully because we want to have an impact. We don't want to just spread it. This isn't a marketing exercise. We want to get into and make a difference. And certainly, the point that you raise is very important, the street kids, and how do we get to them? Well, we're always looking for partners who will say to us, okay, for example, there may be an organization watching this morning who deals with these street children, and then they can contact us with pleasure, and we could set this up because our program works not only for schools. I mean, we've done it, for example, in Soweto. Our program assistants have gone into daycare centers where there's little kids, and they'll read the book of Oki and the Sun. These children can't read yet, but they read it to them, and the story translates. So it goes across all age groups. We've gone into slightly older youth communities, and we've read the book. So it certainly is, our program is ready and set up for that kind of thing. What we would need is the correct partner who can guide us into these children, sponsorship always helps, and then we can certainly run this program at any level and with any kids.
Okay. All right. What about the, I'm thinking about the teach one concept, the read one, teach one concept. I'm not quite sure what's the terminology. Each one, teach one. So if you can try and introduce something like that, perhaps you guys have been thinking about it, is you have this group or a couple of schools and try and inculcate this each one, teach one value. So you teach them at school, they go back home and teach a neighbor's child or someone in the community, and thereby really spread the word.
Yes, and of course that is a very powerful medium. And we're already finding that happening because, as I said, for example, the kids go home and the parents see the book and they want to read the book. They talk to their friend. We go into schools and the kids recognize us. They'll start singing the song because we teach them a little song at the end of the session, and this sticks in their mind. So they'll see us and they'll sing the song, and then other kids are obviously interested in what's going on. So that spillover effect is already happening. On a more formal level, we're also working, we've got a program with the University of Johannesburg, with UJ, with their community engagement program, and they have given us access to their students, their first and second year students, who are engaged in community service. And what we've done is we've taken these students into the schools after school, and they help us. So using our mini libraries, they will then sit with the children and help them to read and do some spelling and do some grammar and do that kind of stuff as well. So we are trying to engage in using tertiary education institutions as well to come and help our kids. But certainly the spillover of kids, when you inspire a child, that child just takes light. It just starts shining, and it inspires everyone around them. To be honest with you, we go in there to inspire the kids, but I'll be honest with you, we leave often a lot more inspired than the kids, because these kids are amazing.
Okay, I am talking to Steve Sakiris. He's from Read to Rise. We have a caller, and in 3 minutes' time, we're going to have to wrap up this part of the interview. So let's hear what our caller have to say. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program. Is our caller there? Gosh, we seem to have we seem to have a gremlin in the works this morning. We do apologize for that. I think that's about the 6th caller trying to get through to us, so we do apologize. Please do keep trying, because we do have these books to give away, 2 sets of these books. And inshallah, later on in the program, when little Samiha Issa joins us, we're going to be giving away 3 CDs. And the books I'm referring to, obviously, are these books, Oki and the Sun, and Okay, the Happy Tree. So do call. Let's hope that we manage to sort out those little gremlins and you're able to get through and just chat with us for a minute or 2, and we can let you have one of these books, inshallah. You're with me, Julie Alli, on Let's Talk, and in a minute and a half, we're going to wrap up. So final words from you, Steve?
A couple of things. I'm big on inspiring. I think definitely our children are our future, but we live in such a negative environment, especially in our country at the moment. There is a lot of negativity, and this is not to be negative, but to be realistic about what's happening. And it's so easy for that to bring us down. But we mustn't let it bring us down, because I see hope and inspiration in these children every time I go in there. These little children are geniuses. All they need is the correct seeds in them to be watered, the seeds of inspiration, just giving them love and compassion. That's what we do when we go in. We just have fun with the children. We make them feel special. We give them love. And so that is so important. I believe the next Nelson Mandela is out there. The next Gandhi is out there. The next Albert Einstein is out there. But also the next Adolf Hitler is out there. We've got to be very careful what seeds we water in our society. If we want to have a bright future with beautiful people, we need to start with our children. And so that's the real aim of Read to Rise. And if people have the ability to do this on their own or with their organizations, then that's what I would suggest they do. If they would like to get in touch with us and help us to do what we're doing, that would also be fantastic, because really, if we want our society to change, we need to start now. We need to water the seeds and get flowers instead of weeds.
Thank you so much for us, and I have no doubt that lots of people will come to the fore, support you in this amazing venture of yours, Read to Rise. That was Steve Sakiris from Read to Rise. I certainly hope you've been inspired as much as I've been, and truly enjoyed this segment of the show. We'll take an ad break now, and when we get back, we're going to be joined by Meryl Bailey, and she's going to tell us about the importance of teaching your children multiple languages. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum to you. This is Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli, and our next guest is Meryl Bailey from Lingua Mites. We're going to be talking about multiple languages, teaching your children multiple languages. And thereafter, our final interview for the morning will be with little Samiha Issa. She's going to talk to us about her album, Passage of Time, and the amazing songs that appears on that album. And remember, we do have a few giveaways. We've got the 2 sets of books, which we're still waiting for you to call in to claim. And in the last segment, we're going to give away a couple of CDs. So you need to call in if you'd like to get one of those giveaways this morning. But right now, we're going to be questioning, or rather asking, the merits of teaching your child a second or possibly even a third language. At what stage do you start teaching your child or exposing your child to an additional language? Is this going to confuse your child? And I guess the question uppermost in most of our minds is, what is it going to do to the accent of the child? Is she going to sound weird, perhaps, because she's learning to speak English, Afrikaans, Sotho, Arabic, French, etc., etc., etc. Is it possible for them to learn as many languages? Well, let's ask the expert. Meryl Bailey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Julie.
All right, now this journey started for you. You've got an amazing history. We'll talk about that in a minute or two. But you really got very interested and involved in teaching children multiple languages because you had your own 2 children. And what was that moment? You know, when did you realize it's important that these children speak additional languages, and what would those additional languages do for them?
Well, my husband and I were in Beijing for a number of years, and we started our family there. And so we were in China, and my husband speaks Chinese, and we've obviously been immersed in an environment where we needed to speak this language. And so for our children, it was important while we lived there to be learning Chinese. So we got them a nanny, and she was only speaking Chinese to them. And then when we moved back to South Africa, we wanted them to continue in those languages. My husband is a linguist at heart. He speaks 6 languages, and so it was very important within our family to raise multilingual children. We've seen the benefits just in being able to converse with other people, and so we wanted our children to be able to speak more than one language. And so when we were in China, we chose for them to learn Mandarin, and then when we came back to South Africa, we also wanted them to have an African language. So we taught them, we put them in an environment where they were learning Zulu as well. And I'm an educator, so between my husband and I, we partnered together and brought our passions together to come up with the concept of educating a child in more than one language. And so thus Lingua Mites, the first trilingual preschool in South Africa, was birthed. It was out of our home with our, at the time, 2 children. And then we've subsequently added to our family, and the school has grown. And so now we teach 1 to 5-year-olds preschool education in 3 languages. And the choice of languages was Chinese, isiZulu, and English.
Isn't that very difficult or too much for the child to take in? Because here I'm thinking the child at preschool, it's supposed to be a fun time in their lives. It's also a time for them to start building foundations. Are we not overburdening them, number one? And number two, is there a risk of them perhaps taking a preference to a particular language above the others and then only concentrate on that language and then perhaps lose their mother tongue or just not do well enough in their mother tongue or English or whatever other language the parents would prefer for them to excel in?
So right from the beginning, children are learning languages from birth. Okay, so they have an enormous capacity for language from birth. And so we felt like it was a waste to educate or to teach a child only in one language because they have this enormous untapped capacity to do that. It's also what they're doing. So yes, they're going to preschool and they're learning how to do numbers, shapes and colors. They're learning how to play with Play-Doh, how to be with friends. But language learning is actually what they're doing. It takes a lot of time and energy on behalf of the teachers, but they are learning how to communicate. They're learning how to listen. They're learning how to share and how to express themselves in certain settings. And worldwide, actually, learning multiple languages is not uncommon. So if you look at other countries like in Singapore and some of the European countries, speaking 2 and 3 languages is not uncommon. In fact, it's the norm. It just so happened that in our country, it was quite unheard of. And they sometimes do get a preference for the language, to answer your question. Sometimes children they just feel more comfortable in one language. But one of the great benefits of exposing them to more than one language is to watch them adapt and to know that different languages, you're required to give things to different people depending on the language and the culture with which you're conversing. And so that's a really great skill for people to understand diversity, to understand social context. And so from very young ages, you're watching children be very sensitive to not just languages, but sensitive to people and people's feelings and how to interact with them on a personal level.
So it's about respect and obviously respect for other people's cultures, traditions, and you grow up learning all these beautiful things and you're just so much more well-rounded, hopefully. But what about, you know, they're in the school environment, in the preschool environment, they go on to big school and this multilingual system is no longer there. Are they not going to lose everything that they've learned in the time that they were with you at preschool? Would that then not have been a waste of their time and money, perhaps?
That's a very good question, and that is a question we get a lot of asked often by parents. And the truth is that what you're putting in those early years is so important. It's like a deposit. And even if it lies dormant, even if it is not utilized for the next 12, 18 years, you've deposited in what we call a sensitive period. So it doesn't disappear. And in fact, if you decided later on to go back to those languages, if once you were 18 and you left school, you went to live in China or went to university in another country, you would find that it would be easier and quicker for you to acquire that additional language, because it is easier to learn a third and a fourth from a base of 1 and 2 languages than it is to go from 1 to 2 languages. So a monolingual person will find it much harder to acquire additional languages later on than a person who's grown up in 2 or 3, even if they lie dormant. Later on they can still pick it up. But there are also great benefits cognitively and emotionally and socially to learning languages early on. So even if worst case scenario it did lie dormant and it wasn't ever utilized fully, you've created pathways in the brain, you've done a different kind of wiring with a multilingual child than you have with a monolingual child. And so the benefits, the cognitive benefits, the memory, there's increased creativity, there's increased problem-solving ability, all of that comes, and research shows that multilingual children outperform children who only speak one language in those areas. So it could never actually be a waste, because you've done some great deposits in a child's early years that will forever benefit them in their academic and social careers.
Have you ever had instances where you have kids start at the preschool, but they're very adamant that they don't want to participate in the second and third language, for example? And if you've had such situations, how have you dealt with them?
Well, that generally happens the older a child gets. So we have a philosophy that the earlier and the younger, the better. So our school starts from 1. As I said, children start learning language from birth. So the resistance comes later on when you have strong personalities and you have children who are maybe 5, 6, 7, who now learning language is maybe not their primary activity. Now they have other things that occupy their time and their interests. Whereas for a young child, speaking to them, engaging with them, playing with them in whatever language you are doing that, they don't mind. They're happy to be responsive and to give you some interaction there. So with the age, I would say that is sometimes a difficulty. Our teachers and our staff are very experienced. Our philosophy is that language needs to be learned in an environment that is fun and engaging. There has to be a reason to learn. And so our activities are all built around language, but there's a necessity to speak the language. So how we overcome a child that might not be interested is we don't really give them a choice, but there is such fun happening that they don't want to be left out. And so even in our older programs where we work with 6 and 7-year-old children, we find that if you're doing it through things like soccer, cooking and baking, arts and crafts, they're very engaged and they actually want to be part of that. So they might lose their inability or inhibition to speak the language.
Okay, so it sounds like lots of fun. I now get the picture. It's not about sitting in a classroom and teaching them A in English is A, and means in Chinese you'd say it differently, for
Yes.
example, because that sounded very boring and like lots of hard work. But this way, what you're suggesting is that the entire lesson, whatever the activity for that particular period, would be conducted in that particular language. So if you're doing baking and it's a Chinese lesson, everything's going to be done in Chinese.
Absolutely. So that is our philosophy, that language has to be part of life. I think that's where lots of people and schools have got it wrong, is that it's a subject. Language is not a subject. It's a tool. It's how we converse. And what are we going to talk about? Well, that's up for discussion. We can make it anything that's fun and engaging for a child. But there has to be a necessity. And so what we do is we couple activities with language, so that we're not just having a boring language class. We are playing soccer, and it just happens to be all in that language. So in our model, in our preschool model, what this translates into is 3 very separate classes where the teacher embodies that environment. So she's in that class and she doesn't move. Her class looks and smells and sounds different. And they're all different, the Chinese, the Zulu, and the English. And a child walks in and experiences an environment where the language now has to be spoken. The Chinese teacher does not translate. There is no translation. There is an expectation that over time the child will understand with given instructions, and that routine does help in making that more easy. But the child will then be able to express themselves and answer back.
Okay, can you hold that thought, please?
Sure.
We need to take an ad break. We'll be back in a minute or two. We are talking to Meryl Bailey from Lingua Mites. More about that after the ad break. Welcome back. This is Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli. My guest is Meryl Bailey from Lingua Mites. We're talking about this amazing program that they've introduced in their preschool. But still to come in the program, we're going to talk to Samiha Issa. Her mom's going to join her in studio as well. She's going to sing a few of her nazms from the album that she's cut, and that is Passage of Time. We're also going to be giving away a few of those CDs on air. But remember, we still have the book giveaways. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of calls this morning, but the lines were really bad. Not sure if it's on your side, if it's the cell phone you're using. So do try again. We'd love to give you those books, and we do want to hear your comments and your questions on the air. Are you enjoying the show? Are you going to be a regular viewer? Do you have any suggestions, any comments, any suggestions? Well, we'd love to hear all of that. Call us. The line is scrolling at the bottom of your screen. But back to you, Meryl. Welcome back. Okay, can you talk to us about your model again? Let's just understand exactly how it works.
So we create within our school environments, without our classes, we create an environment where the language needs to be spoken. So we have a Chinese class, a Zulu class, and an English class. And within that class, everything is informed by that language and by that teacher. And the students themselves actually rotate between the classes. So they might start in English and then rotate to Zulu and then go to Chinese. And that routine that gets established every single day helps them to settle in quicker. And then that teacher never speaks anything else. So we have a one-person, one-language philosophy, which all research supports is the best philosophy when learning other languages. And also an environment where there is a necessity to speak those languages. That's very important for language learning as well.
Okay, now in terms of, the children moving on. Well, before we do move on with that question, where are you based in South Africa, and how many outlets do you have?
So we have our model in Randburg, in Ferndale, Johannesburg. And from there, we have some other subsidiary programs that we run in terms of language learning. And we do lots of support to schools and to families. We have a lot of services that support families who want to raise multilingual children. So we also have venues around Johannesburg itself for specifically Zulu language learning, nanny training, after-school programs, activity classes. So there's definitely a lot happening in the Joburg area. But our passion is to support families and children who and raise a multilingual generation of South Africans. And so we definitely have a vision to expand.
What's nanny training all about?
So we do, Zulu is a really important language in our culture, and for the next generation of South Africans to be able to converse proficiently in Zulu is very important. So what we do is we actually train nannies and caregivers in people's homes who are already Zulu speakers to how to be tutors, Zulu tutors to the children in that they're looking after. So instead of outsourcing it, or if you don't have a school that offers that, to actually have it within your home, and the nanny becomes the person, the one person that speaks that language to that child. And we equip the nanny with the skills and the resources, the books, the CDs, the posters that they need to make that an effective language learning exercise. And so within a very close relationship, these nannies are looking after your kids every day, all day, and that they can really make a difference in their academic future by investing in speaking Zulu to the child.
And so when mom and dad comes home in the evening, they will then converse with the child in English, and there won't be any confusion. The child will know automatically that I converse with nanny in Zulu, yes, and with mom and dad in English, or whatever the home language might be. That being said, the issue around people outside of the Randburg area who might be interested, and also you keep referring to Chinese and Zulu, and I think there's one other language.
And English.
And English, obviously. Are those then the three languages that you teach? And why specifically Chinese and Zulu? I can understand Zulu in South Africa. It's important for our children to speak the, one of the African languages or the vernacular. If they want to be competitive and get ahead in life, they need to have that as a language. But what about Chinese? How would it suit my child? How would it serve my child learning to speak, read, and write Chinese?
Well, firstly, there is no one language better than another. So these were the three that we chose, and I'll give you the reasons why. But first up, the benefits of multilingualism, like I was speaking about what it does to a child's brain, that is regardless of which language you choose. For our family and for our school, we chose those three languages, firstly because they're from three completely different family of languages. They bear no resemblance to each other whatsoever. There was talk, we spoke at length about whether it was Portuguese or French or any other useful language, but they bear very close resemblance to English. Whereas Chinese, Zulu, and English, there's no similarity. You're getting basically a great foundation in three different family groups, and learning additional languages from those different families will be easier. So acquiring a third and a fourth language, if you have that as a base, would be easier.
Okay, please hold that thought.
Sure.
Do apologize for that interruption. We have a caller. Assalamu alaikum to you and welcome.
Walaikum salam, Julie.
Thank you for calling. Who am I speaking to?
You're speaking to Sandy.
What's your comments this morning?
Well, you have a lovely show here.
Thank you.
It's different, quite nice to look at. I have 3 grandchildren, and they just love to read. So I'm quite interested in those books.
Oh, absolutely. You are our first caller. We didn't have much success with the previous ones. There was a lot of static. We couldn't hear them properly. So thank you for calling in, and we certainly will be sending you a set of the books in the post. I hope you've left your number with our producer.
I'll stay on the line and do that.
Thank you indeed, and keep watching ITV, and thank you so much for your call this morning. We do appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
Meryl, back to you. And I asked you the question about the languages you decided to teach. And I guess it also makes sense because you lived in China for quite a while. Going forward, have you decided on other languages? Arabic, for example, we have a very big Muslim community here in South Africa, and I think that would, serve us very well in South Africa.
Absolutely, and I think that whatever language you decide to go with, it will always be going with our model, which is to couple activities and language together. So we've chosen these languages, and I said that we have lived in China. It was very important for our family that our children learn Chinese. It is also the fastest growing second language in the world.
Really?
So monolingual countries like Australia and the US are choosing Chinese as their second language over other languages. So I think there definitely bears in a global economy a merit and an argument for learning Chinese. But certainly, within whatever... If within the Muslim community, if Arabic is the language that would give a competitive advantage in that society and community, then putting together the language together with an activity is definitely the answer. And if, there's a grandparent or one person within the family that is proficient in that language, then families should choose to make sure that that person is speaking consistently and deliberately to that child in all circumstances, so that the child grows up knowing that when I'm speaking to so-and-so, that there is an expectation that I respond appropriately and understand what they're saying and are able to converse. So I think as long as that there is the necessity in place and one person, one language, and that there is a reason to speak the language, that then languages can be learnt in an effective way.
Okay, we're almost coming to wrap-up time. I think we're going to have to start ending this part of the show. Is there anything really important that you'd like to share with parents this morning? So people are watching us this morning and thinking, there is so much merit in teaching our child an additional language. What is it that you'd say to that parent? But just hold that thought. Let's take a caller now. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the program. Caller, you're on air. Please go ahead.
Good morning, Sandy. Good morning, Sandy.
Hello, can you hear us?
Hi, good morning, Sandy.
Morning, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much. I believe I was your first caller that didn't get to leave my details.
Okay, Sandy, I think we have told you, we have taken your information already, and we certainly will be sending you the books in the post. Unless you have some other comments you'd like to make, we'd be happy to hear from you. Okay.
No problem.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Sandy?
I'm not at the moment. Looking forward to the little girl seeing further. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your call. Okay, Meryl, we've got to wrap up now. One important message to parents: the importance of teaching your children a second and subsequently third language, and any concerns that they might have around this issue.
Just to put their concerns at ease, that children have the ability, when done correctly, to learn more than one language, and they should definitely research and invest in this as it's a great foundation for any child's future academic success. I sincerely hope that if they feel in their heart that they would like their children to speak more than one language, that they do pursue it.
Okay, you're based in Randburg, Johannesburg. What about our listeners elsewhere in the country that might want to get their children to join up to get benefit from something like this?
They're welcome to give us a call or go to our email website, linguamites.co.za, and be in touch with us, and we can see what we can do in certain areas. We definitely are expanding.
It's been wonderful having you on the show. Lots of success, future success. I know you've got a wonderful operation running, and I do hope that you grow from strength to strength. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
That was Meryl Bailey from Linguamites talking to us about the importance of teaching your child or children multiple languages. We're going to take an ad break, and we'll be ready for you thereafter with the most exciting part of the show this morning, little Samiha Issa, who's going to come in and talk about her album Passage of Time, and maybe even share a song or two with us on air, live, right here on ITV. Welcome back, and this is the final segment of the show this morning, and this is the lovely young lady I've been referring to all morning, and this is Samia Issa and her lovely mother Anissa. We're going to be talking about Passage of Time. This is the CD that this young lady, 9 years old, has managed to put together, and her mom and dad obviously have been supporting her throughout the process. We're going to hear about how this all became a reality, and the great thing is that little Samiha Issa is going to be singing for us live on TV this morning, inshallah. So stay with us throughout the program. We're going to give away a couple of these CDs on the show, so if you call in, you can stand in line to win one of these, and we still have a set of books to give away as well. So we're waiting to hear from you. But right now it's over to Anissa Issa, the mother of this gorgeous little girl. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Wa alaikum assalam.
This is amazing. A 9-year-old girl manages to go out and cuts a CD with 11 songs. It's unbelievable. How did this journey start, Anissa?
Well, it started in about 2 years ago. We had come back from Umrah, and we were reading a book on the lives of the prophets of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And, you know, before that, people kept on telling me, you know, she has a beautiful voice, and they always heard her singing. And it was then that I went to see Uncle Jeremy, and he said, no, you know what, let's go for it. I think I love her voice, and why don't we do this? So it started off as a fun journey that Mummy and daughter did together. On a Saturday morning, we would sit and we would go to Uncle Jeremy and write and sing, and during the week we'd read stories and come up with the lyrics as such. So it was a beautiful, a fun journey, should I say.
And it started, what, about 2 years ago?
It started about 2 years ago. Yes.
Okay. And Samiha, were you very excited that Mummy was interested in taking this further? You know, some moms will just think, it's a passing phase. Were you happy that Mummy and Daddy were supporting you throughout this journey?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel now? I'm sure that your friends and family and wherever you go, people are wanting you to sing, and they ask you a lot of questions about how you feel about where you're at. What do you say to them?
I actually, sometimes I don't say anything.
You feel okay about it?
Yeah.
You're not shy?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Anissa, since the, you know, the production of this CD, how, you know, what else has happened? What different direction has your life taken in terms of supporting Samiha in her journey?
Well, it took us on by surprise. We released the CD as a matter of dawah, you know, that people can learn the lives of the prophets of Allah and learn the lovely lessons along the way. And what better way than through lyrics? Because all our children love to listen to music, and we always need an alternative. We're always looking for an Islamic alternative. So that was why we had released it. And well, it took us by surprise, and we've been quite busy. Alhamdulillah, we've just come back from Cape Town last week.
Doing what in Cape Town?
She was invited to sing in Cape Town last weekend. So alhamdulillah, also for an educational society that deals with bursaries. So alhamdulillah.
Okay, are you ready for this? What I think we're going to do now is, to our viewers, our lines are open. We'd love to hear from you, but don't call in now. I'm thinking we're going to get Samiha to stand up and sing one of her favorite tracks from Passage of Time. This is what it looks like. And if you call in, you stand a chance to get one of these in the post. We'd like a comment from you, you know, what you think about Samiha, what do you think about the show, are you enjoying the show? And so we're going to listen to her now. Please don't call while she's singing the Nazm. Is it Nazm or Nasiha? Is it one and the same thing?
I think it's one and the same.
The same thing, okay. Or Nasheed. It's referred to as a Nasheed, a Nazm, or a Nasiha. All right, so she's going to sing for us. Don't call in now, right after she's done singing her favorite track from the album. I've listened to all of these on another show of mine, and I've you know, played them repeatedly over a couple of weeks on another show of mine, and they all are beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So she's going to sing one of those, and then you can call in, make a comment if you like, and then stand a chance to win one of these. And then we'll continue talking to Mom Anissa, and perhaps she'd like to say something to us. So over to you, Samiha. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim.
I've got a tale to tell you about a man. I've got a tale to tell you about a man we all know, who came and called and cried for us all. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammad was his name, Islam was his way, spreading the deen was his only aim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one God, Muhammad was his messenger. The people had rushed to hear his words, for he was a Siddiq, the truthful. His fragrance was magical, his words were so true. Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Muhammad was his name, Islam was his way, spreading the deen was his only aim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one God, Muhammad was his messenger. stoned his body and blood flowed slowly. Should I crush them? Asked Allah the Almighty. No one's the reply from the love of Allah. Habibullah. Muhammad was his name, Islam was his way. Spreading the deen was his only aim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one God, Muhammad was his messenger. He was caring and he was so wise. His character was perfect, honest and kind. Till the end he cried, Ya Ummati. He was Muhammad Mustafa. Habibullah, Rasulullah, Shafi'ullah, Muhammad Mustafa. Habibullah, Rasulullah, Shafi'ullah, Muhammad Mustafa. Muhammad was his name, Islam was his way. Spreading the deen was his only aim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one God, Muhammad was his messenger. Muhammad was his name, Islam was his way. Spreading the deen was his only aim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one God, Muhammad was his messenger. Muhammad was his name, Islam was his way. Spreading the deen was his only aim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one God, Muhammad was his messenger. Jazakallah.
Mashallah, mashallah, that was beautiful. If I wasn't all wired up, I'd jump up and give it a hug and a kiss. And if I'm feeling so emotional about it, I don't know how you as the mom is feeling about this amazing journey that you're on with your child. Alhamdulillah. Where to from here, Anissa, for her?
Inshallah, at the moment we're just enjoying her. She's enjoying singing her nasheeds and going all over and concentrating a little bit on school at the moment. And inshallah, if in time to come, we would love to produce another CD.
I mean, that's wonderful. That's really great news. To our viewers, of course, we've just heard this amazing young girl singing for us live here on air. If you'd like to, get hold of one of these CDs, then you can call in, and we more than happily, post these off to you. This is the final part of the show, Let's Talk with me, Julie Alli. We're talking to mother and daughter, Anissa, and her daughter, Samiha Essa. We're talking about how this all came about for her. And let this be an inspiration for other youngsters out there. Moms and dads, if you think that your child has a special talent and you'd like to showcase it, get in touch with us here at ITV, and we're more than happy to talk about it and perhaps air it as well. More about this mother and daughter duo, well, more about Samiha Essa. Perhaps if we have time, we're going to have her sing us another song from her CD Passage of Time. But first, an ad break. We'll be back with you right after. You're tuned in to Let's Talk. I do hope you're enjoying the show. And of course, we're featuring an amazing young lady, Samiha Essa. She has actually cut this amazing CD with songs on all the different prophets. If, inshallah, we have time a little later on in the program, we're going to take a listen to another one of the tracks from this CD. And of course, we're waiting for your calls. Do call us on the studio number that will be scrolling at the bottom of the screen. And that is after we've taken a look at this video clip from the launch of Samiha Essa's CD. So let's take a look at the clip, and thereafter you can call in to claim one of these amazing CD of Nasihas by this amazing young lady. And we do hope that you're enjoying this part of the show. Okay, so we're going to watch the clips on the video clip on screen. So let's take a look at that.
Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I'm sure Samiha will tell us a bit about it as well as to the reason for passage of time. So let's call upon on stage for your pleasure as well as mine, Samiha Asa.
Thank you for joining me for the launch of my CD, Passage of Time. The first song that I'm going to sing tonight is titled Passage of Time. This song talks about the prophets of Allah and the same message that they brought over time. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Through the passage of time, the message was one. Believe in Allah and His prophets and angels and Allah say. Adam, Noah, Ibrahim, Sulaiman, Yusuf, Musa, Dawood, Isa, Rasulullah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Islam is our guide to light up our lives all the way to Jannah. With the help of the prophets as our guide. Adam, Noah, Ibrahim, Sulaiman, Yusuf, Musa, Dawood, Isa, Rasulullah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Gentle and kind, faithful to one were the prophets of Allah. They were brought down to show us the right way. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. There is only one Allah. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammad was His last messenger. Through the passage of time, the message was one. Believe in Allah. بكون الله ما لنا سواك يا الله. ما لنا سواك يا الله. Alone aside, I found myself. I looked around, it's just me inside. Where are my sisters? Where's myself? Where am I? And what have I become? Where am I? And what have I become? بكون الله ما لنا سواك يا الله.
Now for the moment we've all been waiting for, ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back, and that was the video clip of the launch of the CD Passage of Time with little Samiha Issa. Her mom's in the studio with us as well, and I was watching them as we were watching the clip, and I was so taken over by emotion. It's so special. It is so special when you watch your child doing amazing things, and this is truly amazing. We'd love to hear from you, and of course we are giving away a couple of these CDs, so do call in, let's have your comments, and stand in line to get one of these CDs. How do you feel, Anissa, when you see your daughter, you know, when you watch these clips back and when you listen to her singing? I'm sure your heart just swells up with pride and emotion, and
I think my heart skips a beat every time she performs, so I'm very proud of her.
Mashallah,
She's come
mashallah.
such a long way. So.
But it's a lot of hard work, is it not?
more than what anybody can expect.
Okay.
It took us an average about 12 to 18 hours to produce one 4-minute song. So in terms of time of research and reading up and, you know, trying to get what she thought were the most important lessons and then what I thought were the most important lessons, and finding a common ground and putting things together and then thinking of a tune and then making sure that you're getting the message across without leaving important things out. So it was a lovely learning curve for us.
Okay, we have a call online. We'll be back with Anisa and Samiha in a minute or two. Assalamu alaikum to you, our caller. Okay, we're having we do apologize for this. There seems to be a problem with our lines this morning. We know at one stage there were quite a number of callers, but we couldn't take them. But here's another one, so let's see if we're lucky this time. Assalamu alaikum to you, our caller. Welcome.
Walaikum salam.
Who am I speaking to?
Fatima.
What do you think of the program? Do you have something to say to our lovely little guest here, Samiha Issa?
She's singing it's so heartbreaking, you know, the way she sings, and mashallah, she must keep up the good things.
True, you know, I was pretty emotional listening to her. Sister, please give your, is there anything else you'd like to say to little Samiha?
I'm going to just keep her going.
Ameen, ameen. Inshallah, we will be sending you one of these CDs in the post, and I do hope you're going to have lots of listening pleasure. Shukran very much for the call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Okay, back to you. Hard work. Where does Daddy feature into all of this?
Well, Daddy used to sit and we used to write up the songs, and then Daddy used to eventually at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd wake him up and say, can you listen to what I've written down? And he'd tell me, you know, does it have to happen now or can it wait until tomorrow? So
extremely supportive.
So yes, he's always been there. And if it wasn't for him allowing us the time, he would take my older daughter horse riding and I would take Samiha for singing. So had he not given us that opportunity to go by ourselves, that in itself was support enough. You know?
Absolutely. Okay, another call. Assalamu alaikum to you and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam.
Please identify yourself, sister. What's your name?
Okay, this is Zahra speaking.
Gee.
Yes, I just wanted to say Samia is an inspiration to the little ones and even to the adults.
Yes.
And, you know, kids and even adults, we all learn through these nasheeds and nizms.
Absolutely.
And I hope that she grows from strength to strength, inshallah.
Ameen, ameen. Are you enjoying our programs on ITV?
Very much, very much.
Mashallah, yes. Mashallah. Yes. Keep viewing, and inshallah, please leave your number with our producer. We'll definitely be sending one of these to you. Shukran very much for your call. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Okay, Anisa, you've got the 2 daughters only.
And I've got a son.
What does he say about all of this? Does he think it's a girly thing?
No, you know what? I've been very fortunate, alhamdulillah. The whole family has been very, very supportive of Samiha.
Right.
From the beginning up until now, they're willing to make the sacrifices and come with her and give us the time that we need. So, alhamdulillah.
It's true. Anything like this, anything in life, any major event or undertaking, we can't do it without our loved ones, the support of our loved ones. And we're blessed when we have such support. We have another caller. Assalamu alaikum to you and welcome.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, with your du'as. Sister, what is your name?
My name is Maimuna and I'm phoning from Cape Town.
Oh, wonderful. Welcome to the studios in Johannesburg. Maimuna, what are your thoughts this morning?
I think this little girlie is awesome.
She's amazing. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, she's amazing. You see, the thing is, I'm teaching for almost 60 years.
Gee.
60.
Right.
And I find children doing this, they are an inspiration for other children.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And may Allah grant her the strength and the iman to carry on, and may inshallah Allah keep her humble. And she must grow from strength to strength. I'm really enjoying your program. Being an educator myself, I love to watch any program that holds children on air.
Shukran.
Thank you very much. I give you my number.
Yes, leave it with our producer. Shukran very, very much for your kind words and for letting us into your heart and your home this morning. And you're definitely going to be receiving one of these in the post.
Inshallah.
Keep watching.
Amin.
Assalamu alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Fi amanillah.
Okay, just one more announcement for this morning. We are coming to wrap-up time, and unfortunately we have to close the lines. We still have one or two of the CDs left over, but I will give them out in my show on Wednesday morning, or perhaps next week Saturday morning. So keep watching Let's Talk on ITV, and of course all of the other programs that we have here. Okay, over to you. We've got just a few minutes left before we wrap up for this morning. Important message to other moms that find themselves in a situation where they think that their child has a talent. What advice do you have for them?
If you think your child has any sort of talent, take the time out of your life and give your children that time and that opportunity. Find people. There are people out there that do everything. There was a little girl that had written a book. My Samiha has produced a CD. There are other children that are brilliant at public speaking. If we take the time out, these are our leaders of tomorrow. So we need to, as the mums of today, encourage our children to be the adults and the guides for the future, inshallah.
Okay, we're going to be saying our salams right now. What do you want to say to our viewers very, very quickly into that camera?
For all those children who want to do something, never give up and follow your dreams.
MashaAllah. That brings us to the end of the show today. It's just gone by so quickly. I can't believe how time flies. Thank you so much for letting us into your hearts and into your homes. I sincerely hope you're going to be joining us every Wednesdays and Saturday mornings from 8:30 to 10 right here on Let's Talk. And in closing, I'd like to say, don't tell your children you're going to go to hell if you don't pray. Rather say to them, let's pray together and we will enter Jannah together. Wassalam.
يا هلا 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 حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا حن قلبي على جمعة الخير هلا يا 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 هلا